Right. Good afternoon, students. It's been long we have met. So as your schedule of mycology is going, today we are going to deal with the infections. So this is a cartoon which is showing a dermatologist, a patient have consulted him in the night. So what the doctor is suggesting is scratch yourself a couple of times and call me in the morning. So scratching is common in these infections because you'll have severe itching. And these are the common manifestations of skin, your hair and nail. That is the reason why you need not bother the dermatologist. You can wait, and these are not of such serious complications. So this is a cartoon which shows the fungi that are growing on your nails and a patient suffering from itch. Right. So what are these fungal infections? So we call them usually as mycosis. As the introduction is over for you, madam might have taught you about various fungal infections. So to just revise them briefly, so fungal infections of humans, we categorize them into 5 main types. That is superficial mycosis, cutaneous mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, systemic mycosis, and opportunistic mycosis. So superficial, the name itself is just suggesting that it is something which is very much onto the topmost layers of the skin. So here only stratum corneum of your epidermis is affected. So that is the reason we call it as superficial mycosis. So cutaneous, which involves your skin, your hair and nail. Subcutaneous, into the little bit deeper tissues. Your tissues, your muscles will be involved in this infection. So you call it as subcutaneous. Systemic, the name itself is just suggesting that the fungal infection that is caused to or involving various systems, you call it as systemic mycosis. Like your lungs are involved in pneumonia. Like that, you call it as systemic mycosis. And opportunistic, that is normal flora of your skin take an opportunity to produce the infection. When the host immunity is lowered, you call it as opportunistic mycosis. This might was, I think it was already covered for you. Right. What are the major mycotic diseases that are caused? So superficial, as I told you that it is localized to stratum corneum. Just to revise your epidermal layers, epidermis consists of 5 layers as you know. That is stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, then you have stratum granulosum, you have stratum spinosum and stratum basale, which you might have forgotten. But just to revise, stratum corneum is the outermost layer of your epidermis, and a superficial mycosis, you see this common infection. So what are all the various diseases that are produced or that are categorized under superficial mycosis is, that is pityriasis versicolor, tinea nigra, you have white peardra and black peardra. So they produce concretions in the hair due to the fungal growth. What do you understand by concretions is, they produce a hard, solid mass, which is formed by the local accumulation of your fungi. That is the reason you call it as concretion. So in black peardra, white peardra, in tinea nigra or something, you see the accumulation of fungi, which are manifested by a typical color changed nodules, right? The next one is cutaneous. Here we have dermatophytosis and candidiosis. As I told you, the mainly affected areas are your skin, hair and nail. In candidiosis, we see the involvement of mucosa tube. But in this today's class, we will learn about only these 4 ones, that is pityriasis versicolor, tinea nigra, that is peardra, along with dermatophytosis. Candidiosis will be covered in the later class, that is in opportunistic mycosis, sir will be taking. Then subcutaneous mycosis, we have mycetoma, chromomycosis, porotrichosis, and pheohyphomycosis. And in systemic mycosis, we have histoplasmosis, coccidioidomycosis, blastomycosis, and paracoccidioidomycosis. So these 4 are the infections which are produced in producing the systemic manifestations. And finally, the opportunistic mycosis, which consists of candidiosis, cryptococcosis, aspergillosis, penciliosis, zygomycosis, pneumocystis pneumoniae. These are all the general opportunistic infections that are produced in human. So in this whole table, the most important questions that you get in your exams is, dermatophytosis is an important question, candidiosis is an important question for you, We have mycetoma, which will be asked as a short notes. The whole systemic mycosis may be asked as a short notes. And aspergillosis and cryptococcosis, these two have applied importance. That is the reason why these two may be asked in our exams. Pencillinosis, we have the slides here. That is in our lab. When you come back, you can just observe all the morphological slides of various fungi that are available, so that you'll have a brief idea on all those. So the important questions I have already told you. So on a general broad class, so the general pattern of classification, if you classify the fungi, they are divided into two. One is superficial, the other one is deep. So superficial, and that is your cutaneous and subcutaneous. Along with your superficial come under superficial mycosis. Deep mycosis will be coming under primary systemic as well as your opportunistic. So these two come under deep infections, whereas superficial, cutaneous and subcutaneous come under your superficial infections. So superficial mycosis in clear. So superficial, I told you that this is infecting the stratum corneum. So this is the cut section of your skin. So this superficial mycosis is a group of infections that are caused by fungi that live exclusively on the dead layers of your skin. Stratum corneum is nothing but the outermost exposed layer, which usually prevents the contact with the environment, and this is also useful for thermoregulation, right? So they have no contact with the living tissues, hence no inflammatory response will be produced in this superficial mycotic infections. So these infections, they do not produce wide damage, but mostly they result in cosmetic damage. That is, any production or a depigmentation or hyperpigmentation of your skin, or else any nodular deposits will be seen on the surface of your skin, hair and nail, which will result in the cosmetic damage, but no much gross difference will be seen. So the main infections that we are going to learn in superficial mycosis is Pityriasis versicolor, Taenia nigra and Taenia pairdra. So cutaneous mycosis, so dermatophytosis is caused by a group of related fungi which are known as dermatophytes. So the infection is confined to conified layers of the skin and its appendages. So various inflammatory and allergic responses are induced in the host due to the presence of fungi and their metabolic byproducts. So what is Pityriasis versicolor? So this is also known as Taenia versicolor, which is manifested by mild chronic superficial infection of the stratum corneum, which is characterized by white, brown or fawn colored, discrete or confident lesions which are covered with thin scales, which are localized mainly in the upper trunk. So what is its distribution is, this is usually worldwide in distribution and most frequently seen in the tropical climates. So this infection affects both your sexes, that is young adults of both sexes are equally infected, and this infection is most common in babies as well as in infants. So what is the causative agent of this infection is, this infection is caused by Malassezia furfur, which is previously known as Pityrosporum orbiculae. So this is the infection causative agent of your Taenia versicolor or Pityriasis versicolor. Next, coming to the clinical manifestations, what are the clinical features of this disease? This consists of flat, round, scaly patches, which I told you that it is either hypo or hyperpigmented. Hypo is they have decolorization or discoloration of the skin will be seen, that is light coloration, or hyperpigmentation, that is only that particular area of the skin will be looking darker. So hypo or hyperpigmentation of the skin is observed here, and the lesions are usually non-inflammatory and non-pruritic. What is the meaning of non-pruritic is they does not produce much itching. So as the deep layers are not involved, they are not inflammatory, and as it is not producing itching, it is non-pruritic. So the commonest sites that are involved include your chest, back, abdomen, neck and the upper arms. So what are all the other manifestations that are produced by your Malassezia furfur is? So First is seborrheic dermatitis. So seborrheic dermatitis, we all know your Head and Shoulder advertisement, if you can remember, it is nothing but your dandruff and cradle cap. So how are they manifested? Out of 10 people, 5 will be minimum having the problem of dandruff. So what is this is? This is erythematous pruritic scaly lesion that is produced on the surface of your skin, which you call it as dandruff. So mostly affecting the tail. So cradle cap is usually seen in babies. Dandruff is seen in adults. Then comes your atopic dermatitis. We have folliculitis, and disseminated infections are also produced by Malassezia furfur, which is the rare manifestation. So to brief or to summarize your Malassezia furfur infection or pityriasis versicolor, we have flat round scaly patches which are either hypopigmented or hypopigmented. The lesions are non-inflammatory and non-pruritic, and the most commonest sites included are your chest, back, abdomen, neck and upper arms. And this was also known as tinea versicolor, which is manifested by either mild, chronic or superficial infections of stratum corneum, which are characterized by either white or fawn colored discrete or confluent lesions, which are maybe either scaly. So the first, this is the images that are showing your tinea versicolor infection. As I told you, this includes your back. So tinea versicolor in the back. So this is the chest area and this is the abdominal area, which is mostly infected. And we also see the infection in the upper arms and also in the neck regions. We have hypopigmented areas like this. So if you can see the image, you can just get confused with vitiligo also. So what is the difference you observe between vitiligo and tinea versicolor is, in tinea we see the scaliness that is present in the lesions. And when in your vitiligo, we don't see any scaly margins. So scaly margins are seen in tinea versicolor, whereas in vitiligo, no scaly margins will be observed. So here, if you can see this image, here the scales are more common. In vitiligo, you don't see that, right? So what is the laboratory diagnosis? How is it diagnosed is, most of your pityriasis versicolor is diagnosed clinically, and the direct microscopic examination is, the skin scrapings are examined with 10% KOH. And the mixture of budding yeast cells and short septate hyphae are seen, which are characterized by a typical appearance known as spaghetti and meatball appearance. If you can just understand what is spaghetti and meatball, spaghetti is nothing but your long macaroni type food along with meatballs that are present, which is giving you a typical appearance of spaghetti meatballs. So here the budding yeast cells will be looking like meatballs and your short septate hyphae will be looking like spaghetti, which I'll show you in the next slide. So the direct microscopy, the typical appearance, that is spaghetti and meatball appearance. The culture, how do you do? It is done on Sabroots dextrose agar. In introduction, madam might have covered various culture media that are required for your growth of fungi, that is Sabroots dextrose agar, potato dextrose agar, and we also know about dermatophyte media and all that we'll learn in the next coming slides. So here for culture, remember Sabroots dextrose agar with olive oil is used. So SDA is overlaid with olive oil, which is used, which is ideal for culture. And the typical appearance of the colonies is fried egg appearance. So fried egg appearance will be observed after incubating for around 5 to 7 days at around 32 to 35 degrees centigrade. So this is urease positive, and wood lamp examination show golden yellow fluorescence. What do you understand by wood lamp examination? This was also, I think, you covered in your introductory classes. So in wood lamp examination, they use a trans illumination to detect the bacterial and fungal infections that are present on the skin. So what happens is some sort of fluorescence will be exhibited by the lesion. So wood lamp examination shows your golden yellow fluorescence if the infection is caused by pityriasis versicolor. So this is wood lamp examination. Next, finally, So this is the spaghetti meatball, that is septate hyphae along with budding yeast cells, which are known as spaghetti meatball appearance. So topical lotion with selenium sulfide shampoo is used, ketoconazole, and terbinafine cream can be used for around 2 weeks. So that is the treatment of pityriasis versicolor. The next infection is Tinea nigra. Nigra is something which is resulting in black. Nigra is black. Okay. So localized infections of your palm and soles, and this is usually characterized by plainless black non-scaly patches, and the disease is mainly occurring in the tropics. So the causative organism is Exophiala wernicki and Exophiala castellani. Exophiala wernicki was earlier also known as Cladosporium wernicki or Hautia wernicki. So remember, this may come as a multiple choice question in order to confuse you. So Exophiala wernicki, Cladosporium wernicki, Hautia wernicki, all the three means the same, that is Exophiala wernicki. The other causative organism is Exophiala castellani. So skin scrapings, they show brownish branched septate hyphae and budding cells. The colonies that are produced on Sabrodes dextrose agar are either gray or black in color. So the treatment is we apply topical azole creams like iconazole or ketoconazole. So the next slide is about the lesions, that is your dark discoloration that is seen here on the soles and palms. So this is known as Tinea nigra. So dematicious septal hyphae, that is two-celled yeast, is a typical appearance that we usually see when we focus it under microscope. The next one is Piedra. What do you understand by Piedra? Piedra is a Spanish word which means stone. So this produces a hard nodule formation on the surface of your skin shaft, hair shaft. So this nodule formation on hair shaft is the typical characteristic of your Piedra. So this may be either black or white. So this infection is also known as Trichomonas nodularis. Trichomycosis nodularis. Tricho is hair, myco is infection by fungi, nodularis characterized by formation of thick nodules. So trichomycosis nodularis is the infection. That is, this is also known as Piedra, or Piedra is also known as Trichomycosis nodularis. As I told you, we have two colors of nodules produced, that is your white Piedra and black Piedra. How do you classify them or differentiate them is, so white Piedra is the superficial infection of the hair shaft of scalp, face, axillary and pubic regions. Whereas in black Piedra we'll learn later on, just try to remember the white Piedra first. So superficial infection of hair shaft of scalp, face, axillary and pubic regions is seen in white Piedra, and this is usually characterized by white, green or yellow nodules, and this is caused by Trichosporon beigeli. The nodules are usually softer and they are less firmly adhered to the skin shaft, and this is usually identified by, this gives a urease positive reaction. They are the yeast-like fungi and they produce creamish white colonies that they become yellowish gray and wrinkled when they are incubated for long. So this is a brief note on white Piedra. So what is black Piedra? Black Piedra is characterized by presence of discrete black gritty hard nodules of composed of fungi, and this is also seen in the hair shaft, and nodules are usually firmly adhered, and the infection is restricted to the scalp, which involves the beard, mustache and pubic hair, which is like this particular activity is limited to the cuticle. So the crushing of the nodules in 10% KOH, it shows septate hyphae with club-shaped asci, and the colonies that are produced are greenish brown to black. So usually shaving cures the condition, and the application of your benzoic ointment is also of significance. Whereas in white Piedra, you don't see the shaving playing any role. Right. To classify white Piedra and black Piedra, here the infection is included, that is, it is caused mostly in the hair shaft of scalp, face, axillary and pubic regions. Whereas black Piedra, it is restricted to scalp, which involves beard, mustache, pubic hair and limited to the cuticle. Here it is caused by Trichosporan vigili. Here it is produced by Piedra hortae. Here the nodules produced are either white, green or yellow, whereas here it is black and gritty. Gritty is hard. So less firmly adhered and they are soft. They are firmly adhered to the shaft. Here the identification features in white Piedra are, they are urease positive, they are yeast-like fungi, creamish white colonies that turn into yellowish gray and wrinkled upon further incubation is characteristic identification of white Piedra. Whereas in black Piedra, if you crush the nodules, you will see the presence of dark septate hyphae with club-shaped asci, and the colonies are greenish brown to black in color. Here shaving plays no role, whereas here shaving cures the condition and sometimes even benzoic acid is applied. So white Piedra, the nodules you see here, they are loosely, that is, they are not so firm and they are soft. Here in black Piedra, you can see the thick, gritty nodules, which are black in color, which are adhered to the cuticle of your hair are seen here. So this is caused by Piedra hortae, whereas white Piedra will be produced by Trichosporan vigili. Right. The next most important, that is cutaneous mycosis. It is producing, or the two main infections that we learn in cutaneous mycosis is dermatophytosis and candidiosis. So dermatophytosis, this is a very, very important question. This may come as a short note, this may come as an essay also. So each and every point you should remember thoroughly, because this is an important question. Even in Viva, dermatophytes will be asked as questions. So what is dermatophytosis? So this is the most common superficial mycosis which affects your skin, hair and nails. So these filamentous fungi usually digest and obtain the nutrients from the keratin due to the presence of an enzyme in them that is known as keratinase. So these dermatophytes usually colonize the keratinized outermost layer of the skin and living tissue, and they're not invaded. Okay. So the synonyms of dermatophytosis is, this is also known as either tinea or ringworm infection. So what are all the common dermatophytes which are responsible for causation of this dermatophytosis? Infection produced is dermatophytosis. The causative organism are dermatophytes. So what are all the dermatophytes? We have trichophyton, epidermophyton and microsporum. Tri is 3. Usually here tricho is hair, but tri is 3. If you can see this small portion, you can see trichophyton is affecting all the 3, that is skin, hair and nail. Microsporum, if you see, it is affecting only your skin and hair. Whereas epidermophyton, it is infecting only your skin and nails. So this is an important point we should remember. Dermatophytosis, trichophyton produces infection of all the 3, that is skin, hair and nail. Microsporum produces infection of skin and hair. Epidermophyton produces infection of your skin and nail. So what are all the various species of dermatophytes we see? So trichophyton, remember these, they may be asked, right? The questions come as, name any 4 species of trichophyton. So Trichophyton rubrum, Trichophyton mentagophytes, Trichophyton tonsudens, Violaceium, Equinum and Verrucosum. These are all the commonest Trichophyton species we see in the infections. So the infections when I'm dealing with, I'll tell you which species causes infection in which areas. So Trichophyton, the most important species, Trichophyton rubrum. Trichophyton mentogophytes, tonsurens, violatium, equinum, and verrucosum. So Microsporum, we have three important species, that is Microsporum adoni, Microsporum canis, and Microsporum gypsum. And in Epidermophyton, we have two, that is Epidermophyton flucosum and Stockdaleae are the two species which out of which Epidermophyton flucosum is the most commonest one. Now coming to the pathogenesis. So the infection is usually acquired by direct contact with soil, animals or humans infected with these fungal spores. So the spores are carried to the different areas due to either scratching of the inoculated areas or by auto-infection mode. So the predisposing factors is you have most humid or moist humid skin areas, and due to the tight fitting of underclothing, this particular infection occurs. So in skin, they grow in the centrifugal pattern in the stratum corneum, which is leading to the formation of annular or ring-shaped pruritic scaly lesions with central clearing and raised edges. I'll show you the general lesion that is produced by dermatophytes. You will see a ring guard advertisement, if you can remember. There is a lesion that is shown on that particular cover. That is nothing but you will have a cleared central area, and at the edge or in the circular edges, you will see the presence of raised edges. So this is the usual pathogenesis that is observed on the surface of your skin. So scaling erythema and rarely bristle formation will be seen. So these are the pruritic lesions which results in immense itching. So centrifugal pattern growth of the fungi occurs. Then the nails these are invaded through either the lateral or the superficial nail plates, and they are spread throughout the nail. Whereas coming to the hair shaft is invaded within the hair, they invade within the hair shaft and they are found surrounding it. So as a result of which the hair becomes brittle, and sometimes even alopecia like appearance may be also seen in the hair shaft manifestations. So there are certain folliculitis manifestations, that is deep. So before we go there, so this is the general basic lesion of your tinea or ringworm. You will see the centrifugal, that is growth, where central clearing is seen and the edges are raised. So this is the typical ringworm infection. So deep and persistent folliculitis or suppurative folliculitis is seen, which is known as Mazzocchi granuloma. And here in Mazzocchi granuloma, remember, in this only particular word, remember that females are more affected than men. But whereas other dermatophytic infections, the males are more commonly affected than female. Why? Because progesterone is a hormone which has the inhibitory effect on dermatophyte growth. So progesterone, as it is more in women, infection in females is less when compared to males. So dermatophyte infection is more common in males. Why am I telling you this Mazzocchi granuloma is more common in female is because women have a habit of shaving the legs. So when they have this particular habit, this particular deep suppurative folliculitis occur, which is known as Mazzocchi granuloma, which is most commonly seen in women, right? So don't get confused. Deep or persistent folliculitis or Mazzocchi granuloma is more common in female, whereas all other dermatophytic infections are more common in males, right? The severity depends upon the infecting fungi, that is which group of fungi it is involved, and what is the immune status of the host, and where is the lesion actually present. So the site of lesion also plays an important role in the severity. So what is the incubation period? The incubation period is around 1 to 2 weeks, and based on the site involved, various infections are produced. So the next is the tabulation of all the various infections that are produced by your dermatophytes. So first is your Tinea capitis. So tinea capitis, what is the area involved? It produces scaly patches on the scalp. Hair shafts are broken off right above the skin. So tinea capitis is the scaly patches of the scalp. So we have 4 different types of lesions that are produced. One is scarion. What is the scarion? This is painful inflammatory reaction which is producing boggy lesions on the scalp, which is most commonly produced by Trichophyton verrucosum. So scarion is the painful inflammatory reaction that results in the lesions on the scalp. So Trichophyton verrucosum is the important species of Trichophyton which is responsible for production of scarion. Next is Favus. Tinea capitis, the other clinical type is Favus. Here it results in the formation of cup-like crusts which are produced around the infected hair follicles, and usually the hair shaft involvement is very much minimum. So this is produced by Trichophyton schurleni. Then comes your ectotrix and endothrix manifestations. Ecto is outside, thrix is hair shaft. So the arthrospores are formed on the surface of the hair shaft. So you call it as ectotrix. And the most important organisms that are responsible for production are Microsporum adoni, Microsporum canis, and Tinea mentagophytes. Sorry, Trichophyton mentagophytes. So these 3 are the important fungi which are resulting in the production of ectotrix manifestations. Endothrix, that is endo is inside. So this particular arthrospores will be distributed or formed within the hair shaft, and they also result in alopecia. So the important fungi resulting in this condition are Trichophyton tonsurens and Trichophyton violacea. So this is the typical lesion. This is nothing but the painful inflammatory reaction that is resulting in the production of boggy lesions, as I told you. So this is the lesion on the scalp. This is known as scarion, which is produced by Trichophyton verrucosum. So this is the Favus. As I told you, it produces cup-like crusts near or formed around the infected area. So produced mainly by Trichophyton schurleni. So this is ectotrix, that is, this is the hair shaft. You see the distribution of arthrospores that are formed on the surface of your hair shaft. And the main important species are Microsporum adoni, Microsporum canis, and Trichophyton mentagophytes. These 3 are the important species which results in Tinea capitis ectotrix. Then endothrix. Here the arthrospores are formed on inside within the hair shaft, and they result in alopecia. So here you see the arthrospores that are distributed inside the hair shaft. So Trichophyton tonsurens and violacea are the 2 species which results in endothrix manifestations. Right. The next clinical type of infections that are produced by dermatophytes, that is Tinea corporis. This infection is non-hairy skin of the body, that is usually trunks and limbs are involved. Tinea pedis, you also call it as athlete's foot. The infection of the web space is between the toes that also spread to the soles. So if it is spread to the soles, we call it as moccasin pattern. What is meaning of moccasin pattern is, this is nothing but moccasin is a type of shoe that is present in the sole. So moccasin pattern is the infection that is spread onto the soles. You call it as Tinea pedis, which is seen as moccasin pattern, right? So Tinea cruris, that is infection of the groin. Barbae, that is infection of, remember the barber you will know about beard and mustache. Facie, that is non-beard area of the face. Imbricata, imbricata is nothing but the concentric lesions that are present on the surface of skin. Unguium, that is infection of your nail beds. Manum, that is usually seen on the palmar aspect of your hands. So this is the Tinea corporis infection, that is non-hairy skin of your body and trunk is mostly involved. This is Tinea corporis. Pedis, as I told you, infection is on the webs. That is, moccasin pattern is nothing but it is seen on the sole. The image I couldn't get it. So this is the athlete's foot, that is that is spread on to the feet. Then this is tinea cruris, that is infection to the groin. So this is tinea barbae, mustache and beard area are mostly involved. So this is tinea barbae. Then tinea facie, that is non-beard area of your face. That is tinea facie. Then tinea imbricata, as I told you, concentric lesions of the skin. Then nail beds, that is anguinum, that is tinea anguinum, infection of the nail buds, mainly produced by Trichophyton metacophytes and Epidermophyton flucosum. Then this is manum, that is infection of the palmar aspect of the hand. Right. The next most important one is id reaction, or you also call it as dermatophytid reaction. And to understand it clearly, you can also call it as disseminated eczema. What do you understand by dissemination? That is from one side to the other, you call it as dissemination. So this is nothing but a type of acute dermatitis which is developing after days or weeks at skin locations that are very much far from the location of your primary site. That you call it as id reaction. This is nothing but a hypersensitivity to a dermatophyte antigen which occurs, that lead to the appearance of secondary appearance or eruptions in the sensitized patients because of your circulation of allergenic products. So this is a hypersensitivity reaction produced to dermatophyte antigen. That is, one particular area is affected. For example, if you take your palms are affected, but it produces a generalized manifestations somewhere apart from your palms. That is, leaving your palms, if you see the lesions that are produced on either your chest area or abdominal area or on your legs, that is a hypersensitivity reaction which is produced against your dermatophyte antigen. So this is known as id reaction or dermatophytic reaction. So the lesions are usually distant from your primary lesion site, and they usually occur distal to the primary site, as I told you, and the fungal cultures are usually negative. When you take or extract the specimen from this hypersensitivity or dermatophytic affected areas, the culture turns to be negative, because in the primary site you will see the infection, but in the distal site or in the secondary site or the reaction produced area, if you can see, there will be no culture, because it is just an inflammatory or a hypersensitivity reaction that has occurred due to the allergenic products of your dermatophyte, but is not due to the actual cause of your fungi. That is known as your id reaction or disseminated eczema or dermatophytic reaction. So remember this is an important 2 marks question. So this is dissemination. Infection of somewhere in the sole or foot have occurred, but this has resulted in the manifestation of your fingers. So this is your id reaction. Right. Now coming to the laboratory diagnosis. First one is wood lamp. So how do you diagnose these dermatophyte infections? So certain dermatophytes, they fluoresce when the lesions are viewed under wood lamp. So in the earlier one, when I told you about pityriasis versicolor, I told you that the fluorescence is golden yellow in color. Whereas here, this wood lamp examination, you will see positive for Microsporum species and Trichophyton scholeni. The fluorescence that is produced under wood lamp examination is mainly due to the presence of pteridine pigment in the cell wall. So what are all the common specimens we collect? That is, we collect the skin scrapings, we collect the hair plucks. Usually the hair is not cut. It is usually plucked from the root, because the arthrospores are more distributed either into the hair or outside the hair, mostly near the shaft areas. So that is the reason why we pluck the hair, we don't cut the hair. Then we take the nail clippings as other specimens. So skin, hair and nail clippings are taken. So how do you directly examine this is, the specimens are either mounted in 10% KOH for skin and hair, whereas 20 to 40% of KOH is used in order to observe the nails. So what happens, why are you using higher concentration is, in order to dissolve the keratinized layers of your this dermal tissue, we use higher concentration because nail is comparatively thicker than skin and hair. For skin and hair, we usually use only 10% KOH. For nail, we use 20 to 40% KOH. Then calcofluor white stain is another type of staining in which we directly see the presence of thin septate hyphae with arthroconidia found either on the hair shaft, which we call it as ectothrix, or within the hair shaft, which we call it as endothrix. Calcofluor white is nothing but a fluorescent blue dye, which is used in order to observe this particular arthrospores of septate of hyphae of dermatophytes. Right. Next is your culture. How do you culture them is, this is cultured onto Sabrous dextrose agar and this is added with cyclohexamide and incubated at 26 to 28 degrees centigrade for around 4 weeks. So why do we use potato dextrose agar is, sporulation is stimulated when we use potato dextrose agar. That is the reason why PDA is used to stimulate sporulation, whereas STA with cyclohexamide is used in order to cultivate dermatophytes. There's another specialized media known as dermatophyte test medium that is giving specific color reactions. That is, a typical color manifestation will be produced and the chart will be given by the manufacturer. Based on the color, we can directly identify which group of species of Trichophyton or Epidermophyton or Microsporum is infecting or that particular tissue. Then, how do you identify the culture? We have two types of examinations or appearances. That is, macroscopically we observe and microscopically. Macroscopically is with a naked eye. What do you observe in this is the colonies. So how fast are the growth is occurring? That is, how fast the colonies are produced. What is the texture of the colony? That is, whether it is leathery or whether it is powdery or it is pulvety or it is creamy or it is moist, it is dry. This all will learn under texture. Then pigmentation, which color it is producing. It is producing red, brown, green, yellow. The pigmentation will be observed. And then we will learn about the colony topography. So the colonies, we have rate of growth, texture, pigmentation and colony topography. We observe macroscopically. And microscopically, we do LPCB mounting. What do we understand by LPCB is lactophenol cotton blue mounting. So this is used to demonstrate the hyphae and the spores. So macroscopically, we observe the colony's growth, texture and pigmentation. Microscopically, we observe the presence of hyphae and spores in lactophenol cotton blue mounting. So in how do we observe microscopically is, we test or we check for two. One is conidia, the other one is special hyphae. So how do we observe this conidia? So conidia are usually identified like this is for species classification. So we have two types of conidia, that is microconidia and macro. Micro are small and unicellular, macro are large and septate. So conidia, they are used for identification of species. So microconidia, they are small and unicellular. Macroconidia are large and septate. Now coming to special hyphae. So usually the dermatophytes have thin septate hyaline hyphae and some species have specialized hyphae which we call it as spiral hyphae, racket hyphae or favic chandler appearance. So this is the special hyphae, that is favic chandler appearance. This is racket hyphae and this is the spiral hyphae. What is this? This is nothing but the entangled hyphae that is also giving you a typical appearance. So now coming to the macroconidia and microconidia. I told you that conidia are useful for differentiation of your species. So dermatophytes, I told you 3. This table is very important. If you can remember this, you can write down. So Trichophyton, macroconidia are rare. Macroconidia, if they are present, they are thin-walled and smooth pencil shape. So microconidia are very much abundant in Trichophyton. So Trichophyton, remember, macroconidia are rare. Microconidia are abundant. So if macroconidia are present, they are smooth pencil shape. Here microconidia, they are usually grape-like, or they are present as group or bundles or clusters that typically gives you a grape appearance. Microsporum, macroconidia are very much high in number. That is, they are numerous, they are thick-walled, they are rough and spindle-shaped. Whereas microconidia, they are very much rare. Epidermophyton, it is numerous, smooth, and it is club-shaped. Whereas microconidia, they are absent. So the whole table, if you can remember, here Trichophyton, macro rare, micro abundant. Microsporum, they are numerous, thick-walled and rough, whereas microconidia are rare. Epidermophyton, here they are numerous, smooth-walled and club-shaped. Microconidia are absent. So this is the image which is showing your macroconidia. This is Microsporum canis. As I told you that this is rough and produces spindle-shaped, which have septate hyphae present inside. So this is the macroconidia of your Microsporum canis. So a club-shaped macroconidia that are seen in Epidermophyton flucosum. So these are the microconidia of your Trichophyton various species. I told you they are present as clusters. That is, grape-like clusters will be seen in Trichophyton species. So remember 3 important features. Trichophyton, you don't see much macroconidia. Microconidia are abundant here. In Microsporum canis, you see macroconidia which are mostly spindle shaped. Epidermophyton, they are club shaped. Here the septate hyphae are more, here the septate hyphae are less. Here it is, that is, usually this is rough and thick-walled, whereas here they are thin-walled and they are smooth. So this is the macroconidia of Trichophyton. As I told you, this is pencil shape. This is Microsporum and Epidermophyton. This is spindle shape, this is club shape, and this is pencil-like. Right. So how do you identify these dermatophytes in culture? What is the typical macroscopic appearance and what is the microscopic appearance? So Trichophyton rubrum. Rubrum is something which is red in color. So they are velvety. The red pigment is produced on the reverse of the tube. What is the microscopic appearance is? Microconidia are teardrop shape and they are plenty. The macroconidia are long pencil shape. For Trichophyton Mantagophytes, they produce white to tan powdery colonies. The microconidia are numerous. They are round to pyriform. Macroconidia are cigar shaped. Trichophyton Schilleni, this produces smooth waxy colonies. The micro and macroconidia are absent. Here you will see the presence of chlamydospores with Favic Chandler hyphae. Okay, Trichophyton violacea, they usually produces waxy colonies which produced violet pigment on reverse. They're usually slow growing. Here also you see the absence of micro and macroconidia, but distorted hyphae can be seen in Trichophyton violacea. Remember rubrum red, Mantagophytes tan powdery, Schilleni it's smooth and waxy, violaceum violet, so violaceum, rubrum red, R for red, Mantagophytes tan and powdery, Schilleni smooth and waxy, violaceum you have violet. Rubrum you have microconidia that are tear shaped, macro are long and pencil. Mantagophytes, micro are numerous, that is round to pyriform, macro are cigar. Chelinae, both are absent, that is microconidia, macroconidia are absent. We see the presence of chlamydospores and typical Favic Chandler hyphae. And violation, we see micro and macroconidia absent that are present with distorted hyphae. Then Microsporum adoni, they are slow growing, velvety, and they produce brownish. Macroconidia and microconidia are rare. We see the presence of thick walled chlamydospores. Microsporum gypsum, they produce buff colored powdery colonies. The macroconidia are abundant, they are thick walled and spindle shaped. As I told you, they produce around 4 to 6 septae. Microconidia are very much rare. Microsporum canis, we see presence of cottony orange pigment on reverse. So macroconidia are abundant and they're thick walled, spindle shaped. This have around 15 septae. Microconidia are rare here. So adoni, gypsum and canis. Remember adoni, you don't see microconidia, but chlamydospores are seen. In gypsum, we see the presence of 4 to 6 septae. In canis, we see around 15 septae. In both these species, microconidia are rare. Then Epidermophyton flucosum, it produces yellowish green colored pigment. The colonies produced are powdery and folded. So macroconidia, as we discussed earlier, they are club shaped or clavate shaped. Microconidia are completely absent. So what are all the other methods of diagnosing your dermatophyte infection? As it is hair perforation test. That is, how do we do this hair perforation test is, we inoculate a colony into a petri dish containing water, yeast extract along with the infected hair. So what happens is the fungi will pierce the hair, producing wedge-shaped perforations. So this test is usually common for Trichophyton mentagophytes and Microsporum canis. I'll show you in the next slide how a hair perforation test looks like. So inoculation of this particular colony into a petri dish containing water, yeast extract and hair. So when fungus pierce the hair, this produces wedge-shaped perforations, which is the typical characteristic of Trichophyton mentagophytes and Microsporum canis. Then urease test, it is positive for Trichophyton mentagophyte. I told you dermatophyte test medium, that is color change is observed in the medium due to the production of alkaline metabolites. So which type of alkaline metabolite is produced? The corresponding color change will be observed, which is instructed by the manufacturer. Next, molecular methods, like sometimes PCR is done. So usually chitin synthase enzyme, zine is usually isolated in PCR. The skin test is, so hypersensitivity reaction to trichophytin antigen is observed, which is the other diagnostic method for your dermatophytes. So this is Trichophyton mentagophyte hair perforation test. When we have inoculated the hair with the colony along with yeast extract and water, so the fungi have pierced the hair, resulting in the perforations. So this is known as hair perforation test, which is typical characteristic of Trichophyton mentagophytes and Microsporum canis. So this is dermatophyte test medium. So due to the presence or production of your alkaline metabolites, this particular color change will be observed. So this is the uninoculated medium. Here you can see the production of red colonies. Here you will see the color change of the medium to pink. So this is known as dermatophyte test medium. So what is the treatment we usually give? Oral terbinafine or itraconazole. This is the drug of choice for dermatophytosis. The duration of treatment varies based on the site. So 1 to 2 weeks for skin. So 6 weeks for hair, 3 months for nails. Or for onychomycosis, we treat that particular individual with this particular itraconazole for around 3 months. Then oral greaseophylline or ketoconazole can be given. And the topical lotion is Whitfield ointment or tolnaftate. So these are all the various drugs of choice in order to treat your dermatophytes. So remember, dermatophytosis is a very, very important question. So in this, you should remember various species or various dermatophytes which are involved in the infection. What are the important species that are produced? What are all the important species of your individual dermatophyte? What are all the areas your dermatophyte is usually infecting? That is Zycophyton infecting your all the three, that is skin, hair and nail. Your Microsporum infecting your skin and hair, and Epidermophyton infecting skin and nail. So dermatophyte species you should remember, and various manifestations, that is clinical manifestations that are produced by dermatophytes. That is Chirion, Phavus, Ectothrix, Endothrix. Other manifestations like your Tinea corporis, Pedis, Cruris, Barbae, Fascia, Imbricata, Unguinum and Manum. Id reaction comes as a 2 marks question, so remember this also. So id reactions, to summarize, this is not the true infection that is produced by your dermatophyte. Due to the allergens that are produced by the dermatophytes, the clinical manifestation will be produced. So that is known as your id reaction. So that is the reason why your fungal culture is negative here. Right. So what are the clinical manifestations we have learned earlier? So how do you diagnose them? Laboratory diagnosis, specimens we usually collect skin scrapings, hair plucks and nail clippings, and direct examination by KOH mounting. For skin and hair, we do 10% KOH mount, and for nails, we do around 20 to 40% KOH mount. Calfocofluor white stain is another stain that is used in order to observe the thin septate hyaline hyphae and also the arthroponidia that are present on the surface of your hair. Wood lamp examination is also another method. Then coming to the culture, in culture we do in Sabrode dextrose agar and potato dextrose agar. Potato dextrose agar is used to stimulate the sporulation, whereas SDA is used for observing the fungi. Then here, how do you identify macroscopic and microscopic appearances? So macroscopic, as I told you, colonies are studied, microscopic conidia and special hyphae are observed. So remember these slides and try to observe the differences. And this is about your dermatophytes. Thank you.